Hi, welcome back to EVR 2001, the Invasive Species channel. This is Tenley Terrell and we have quite the treat in store for you today. We will be examining the intriguing Muscovy duck here in Tampa, Florida. We might even have a couple live specimens here, so let's see how it goes. I think we found one. This is the perfect specimen of Muscovy duck. This is Hilda. Say hi, Hilda. Muscovy ducks are described as heavy ducks. They have a beak that slopes upwards towards the head and long tails. The males have longer necks than females, so that's how you can kind of tell them apart. The males are often confused with geese just because they're such big ducks. They're really heavy. No offense, Hilda. This duck right here, this is Hilda's cousin, Sally. Sally, come here, darling, come here. Okay, it's inappropriate to reveal a woman's weight, but the average Muscovy duck weighs around 1990 to like 4,000 grams. And their wingspan, they can have a wingspan of up to 58 inches. Isn't that remarkable? You can really see the warts on their face and their nice black and white coloring. These gorgeous creatures can be found around ponds, lakes, and on their way to the dermatologist's office. They're found roosting during nighttime around trees, under natural brushes, sometimes in the middle of the lake and under whatever park bench they can find. They often eat insects, whatever aquatic plants they can find, the stems, the leaves, the seeds, and whatever generous college student is willing to feed them. They're not very friendly and can often be aggressive. Very important to keep your distance when you're approaching these ducks. Look at this fine specimen right here. I mean, what else could you ask for in a Muscovy? Due to their large nature, Muscovy ducks are actually quite pathetic flyers. As you can see, they travel in groups of like 4 to 12, which who would have thought that a duck would have more friends than me? Are you still filming this? Muscovy ducks originate in Central and South America as well as Mexico. So it's easy to see why Florida would be such a habitable environment for an invasive Muscovy duck. In Central and South America, they can also be found in wetland environments such as lakes, ponds, rivers, and streams and mangroves. So Florida is really a thriving environment for them to insert themselves in. Now, Muscovy ducks are not native to the Florida environment, so you may be asking yourself, how the heck did they get here? Well, like many invasive species in the United States and all over the world, these animals were introduced through the pet trade. So back in the early to mid 1900s, Muscovy ducks were introduced through the pet trade or as ornamental animals for private businesses and landowners. The first recorded observance of a Muscovy duck in Florida occurred in 1967. These ducks are actually really big troublemakers for Florida's environment. Their presence causes them to outcompete natural waterfowl in Florida's wetlands, and since they reproduce so often, they can cause population spikes, which only adds to their invasiveness and the detrimental effects that they can have on an ecosystem. In fact, I don't think I've seen any other species of duck in this very remote and scientific location that we're filming. To add to their very appealing appearance, Muscovy ducks produce a lot of waste. So the detrimental effects that this can have on an established ecosystem include excess nutrients running into the water systems that they live in. So this excess nutrients such as nitrites and nitrates and phosphorus will actually encourage algal blooms, which has detrimental effects on native populations. Algal blooms decrease oxygen rates for native fish and degrade local water quality. I feel dangerous up here. Another very real problem that Muscovy ducks bring into an ecosystem is that often they try to breed with native species of ducks, which can cause interbreeding and hybrid species. The detriment of this is that it muddies up the gene pool of a native species and it decreases the ability for that native species to adapt and live well with their established environment. As tempting as it may be To help reduce Muscovy ducks proliferating, it is recommended to actually not feed the ducks, and this is just a general rule of thumb for any native duck as well. Many people often feed them breadcrumbs, which is actually pretty indigestible and provides little to no nutrients for ducks, and it keeps them coming back as a nuisance into public places and begging for food. Removal techniques such as bait trapping and extermination have been taken on by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and other authorized state agencies. Removal of Muscovy ducks in established Florida ecosystems helps decrease the population. A decrease in the population helps fight competing resources between duck species. It also prevents interbreeding, and it also keeps the waterways free of excess nutrients. Another important thing to keep in mind is that with a lot of invasive species, not just ducks, foreign diseases can be brought into already established ecosystems, which can be detrimental to established populations. Overall, Muscovy ducks are not the biggest threat to Florida's ecosystems when compared to other invasive species, especially when they're existing in environments where they're the only ducks present, so they're not actively interbreeding and interacting with Florida's native waterfowl. Sometimes immediate intervention is taken place when Muscovy ducks are becoming aggressive and have aggressive interactions between other species, or when they just become a nuisance to human populations. However, large policy implementation is not necessary, as their presence has not been extremely detrimental since their introduction. With that being said, if you do find yourself in cahoots with a rather persistent and aggressive Muscovy duck, you can contact your regional wildlife management, which can help address the problem. In conclusion, thank you again for tuning into EVR 2001, the Invasive Species channel. We will catch you again next time. These are gonna make great bloopers though. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I'll break an ankle. Stuck the landing.